Explosive news from Rome. Leo XIV has officially intervened on the question of the traditional Mass, breaking the silence for the first time. At the same time, Misgigio Vigano publishes a fiery letter addressed to the Pope, a vibrant appeal in defense of the true Catholic faith. And while all this is happening, Francis's pastoral legacy continues to weigh heavily, with the announcement of a new Mayan style for creation Mass. To really understand where we are going, stay until the end. In recent months, as communities tied to traditional liturgy have been hit by a relentless wave of restrictions from Texas to Charlotte to Detroit, some good news has finally arrived. After weeks of silence and decrees from above, often without explanation, the Vatican has granted a 2-year extension to the celebration of the Latin Mass in the parish of Santa Margarita in San Angelo, Texas. This is the first time that such a derogation has been granted under the pontificate of Pope Leo XIV. The decision, dated May 28, 2025, was confirmed by Bishop Michael Sis, who officially obtained from the Dicastery for Divine Worship a derogation from Article 3, Paragraph 2 of Traditionis Custodes. Thanks to this measure, the Holy Mass, according to the 1962 Missal, will be able to continue to be celebrated, at least for another 2 years, inside the parish church. Precisely what, according to the repressive line pursued up to now, should have been interrupted without appeal. Father Ryan Rojo, Director of Vocations and involved in the care of the local traditional community, publicly expressed his gratitude towards the pontiff and the competent dicastery. At a time when the ancient liturgy has been treated almost like a foreign body to be expelled, this gesture breaks the chain of exclusions and prohibitions. It is a small but eloquent signal. Tradition is not dead. Perhaps not all is lost. Pope Leo XIV, who ascended to the throne only a few months ago, has not, at least for now, modified the legal framework left by his predecessor, but the choice to authorize an official extension for the Latin Mass marks a deviation, albeit prudent, from the line of absolute closure. A move that seems to suggest, more with actions than words, a willingness to reconsider the previous approach. Some observers have interpreted this opening as a sign of caution, others as a simple administrative gesture. But in the Church, nothing is truly neutral. The mere fact that we are once again speaking publicly about concessions, dialogue, accompaniment, instead of repression, is an evident inversion of tone. Perhaps a time is coming when the Pope no longer acts as an executor of decrees written elsewhere, but as a father who listens. The question remains, will it be the beginning of a new course, or just a parenthesis destined to close? This timid opening is echoed, powerfully and uncompromisingly, by the voice of Monsignor Carlo Maria Vigano, who on the very occasion of the Feast of Saints Peter and Paul published a fiery letter full of pain and lucidity in which he asks Leo XIV to restore the Roman soul to the Church. For the Archbishop, today relegated to the margins by the same institution he once served, the attack on the traditional Mass is nothing but the symptom of a deeper hatred, that towards the very Romanity of the Church. In his reflection, Vigano recalls that what makes us Catholic is being citizens of that Rome where Christ is Roman, according to the immortal words of Dante. Rome not as simple geography, but as a spiritual, sacred, cultural center. Rome as a language, as a rite, as a calendar of saints, as a liturgical corpus handed down through the centuries. And for this reason, he states without hesitation, those who wanted to demolish this legacy, from Luther to the conciliarist reformers, share the same anti-Roman spirit. Vigano openly accuses the Council Fathers of the Second Vatican Council of having allowed a modernist minority to distort the liturgy in the name of adaptation, emptying Latin of its meaning and reducing the liturgy to an increasingly changeable sonography. He quotes Dom Guéranger to reiterate that hatred towards the Latin language is the natural instinct of all enemies of the Church, because in it is preserved the unity and strength of the true Catholic faith. And in a particularly vibrant passage, he entrusts Leo XIV with an appeal that is as heartfelt as it is clear. Abandon the Bergoglian excesses, renounce the liquid and confused synodality, and return to exercising the papacy in its fullness, as Peter fed his lambs and his sheep. Without compromise, without adaptation, without flattery to the world, because true mercy is in truth, and true peace is in faithfulness. While, on the one hand, there is an attempt to save what remains of the traditional liturgy with small gestures of openness, on the other hand, there is a proceeding with surprising determination towards the introduction of new liturgical texts imbued with the ideological agenda inherited from the previous pontificate. This is the emblematic case of the so-called Mass for the Care of Creation, announced with emphasis by the Vatican press office and about to be officially presented in the coming days. A Mass for the climate, said like that it seems like a joke, an ironic title taken from a satirical newspaper. And yet, it is all real. After years in which the celebration of the ancient Roman rite was prohibited in parishes because it was out of line with the conciliar reform, today a liturgy is being prepared that focuses on the environment, on the common home, on ecological sensitivity. A rite that in its intention should strengthen the commitment of the faithful to safeguard the planet, but which in reality appears as yet another symbolic move, useful more for launching political messages than for leading souls to salvation. It will be presented by Cardinal Michael Czerny, prefect of the Dicastery for Integral Human Development, the operational arm of Bergoglian environmentalism, and Monsignor Vittorio Viola, known for his open hostility toward the traditional Mass. The same Viola, who, according to reliable sources, drafted a document to completely prohibit the ancient rite, and who proudly wears the episcopal ring of Annibale Bugnini, the architect of the post-conciliar liturgical reform. In a paradox bordering on the absurd, the Church seems more inclined to authorize a green Mass than to tolerate the Mass of all time. Amazonian celebrations, enculturated Mayan rites, and now the Mass for creation find space, listening, and visibility. The Mass of the Saints, that of the martyrs, that of St. Pius V and St. Pius VI, instead, must beg for biennial extensions. As if the liturgy could be adapted to every sensibility of the time except the Catholic one. Leo XIV is now at a real crossroads. He can continue the ambiguous line of his predecessor, granting something but without changing anything, or he can mark a real turning point, giving back to the Church its liturgical and doctrinal soul. The extension granted is a signal But it is not enough. Tradition does not need permission. It needs to be returned to its place. And the time to decide is not infinite. What do you think? If you liked the video, comment, Amen. God bless you.